Hello, you're tuned into Coast to Coast Real Estate with Jacqueline Steib. This podcast will take us all across the globe as we learn the ins and outs of real estate from the industry's top advisors. Here we are now with Jacqueline Steib.
Welcome to the second episode of Coast to Coast Real Estate. In today's episode, we will get to know the founding father of Vista Sotheby's International Realty. Without further ado, allow me to introduce you to Rick Elder. Rick, welcome and thank you for sharing your time with me and my listeners.
Thank you, Jacqueline. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
For those of us who know you, we all know that you love a good joke. Do you have one for me today?
Well, I think my favorite right now this week is what is a giraffe's favorite fruit?
No clue, but it has to be something high.
Nectarine. That one's courtesy of my daughter.
Could you tell us a little bit about who you are?
I graduated from college in 1991. I was a stockbroker for 6 weeks. They took me aside and said, "You're not a stockbroker. You need to go find something else." And at the time I was living in Manhattan Beach. I was a beach bum, recent graduate, so I had no real direction. And my mother was in real estate, and she kept telling me, "You should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. You'll love it." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to lose my weekends. It doesn't seem like a real profession. It seems more like a hobby." It's easier to say yes than no to your mom, so I went and got my real estate license and kind of dabbled in it for a little bit. I would not say I jumped into it or was like a fish to water. We also had a couple personal things happen in the first year that I was into real estate that kind of derailed my focus. In 1996, I met a gentleman by the name of Ron Garber. Ron Garber was part of an organization called Star Power, which was Howard Bretton's Star Power organization, and it was agents around the country who would share their best practices with others and helping them improve, realizing that this is a collaborative effort and everybody gets better. I also met a gentleman by the name of Larry Kendall from the group, and he was developing a system which later on became known as Ninja Selling. Both those two people were inspirational with me, that over the year of 1996, from learning from them, my mom and I started a group we called the Elder Group, which was our real estate team. Of course, everybody pronounced it the Elder Group. We grew that with the brokerage we were at, which was Remax, went to Fred Sands. Fred Sands was purchased by Cole Banker. During the time at Fred Sands, I met Gina Blank, who was a manager of the Fred Sands office in Palos Verdes. Left Cole Banker, started a boutique. We called it the Elder Realty Center. Again, everybody pronounced it the Elder Realty Center, so they assumed that I only sold old folks' homes. So that was not a good marketing move. In 2006, after losing a listing, I had a coach at the time, and we had kind of a philosophy. There's 4 ways. There's choose not to play to play not to lose, and then play to win. And I had fallen into the category of playing not to lose. Wasn't bringing my A game. I wasn't really stepping it up. Through a little bit of introspective, we decided we wanted to affiliate with a larger brand and a larger marketing program. Came across Sotheby's International Realty, met a gentleman by the name of Mike Good, who was building it from then, and fell in love with their philosophy, with the brand, with the direction they were going. Sotheby's philosophy at the time was, we're not going to tell you how to do it. We're going to give you the tools and resources to be the very best that you can be. And that's kind of how I approach real estate. Is I like to find people wherever they're at in their careers or their lives and say, what can we do to help you become the very best of what you are? Pull out those God-given talents and grow on them. We then went back, recruited Gina Blank to help run the brokerage from her at Fred Sands. She became part of our company, and we brought in some partners. Darren, Chris, Gerard joined us, and we grew the brokerage over the years. We acquired South Bay Brokers in 2015. We acquired Shorewood in 2016, and we've been very fortunate to have a pretty good run in this business. A couple years ago, unfortunately, Gina Blank did pass away. During that time, I was going through what I would say is my Jerry Maguire moment. August 5th, 2016, I was speaking to the gentleman who had sold Shorewood to us, which was really, he drove it into bankruptcy. And one of the things about a real estate brokerage is, since you're independent contractors, the second you declare bankruptcy, all the commissions disappear. So that was a bad moment for real estate, and it was a bad moment for that company. And his approach to it, to me, was very cavalier. And I realized that up until that point, we had kind of been growing the brokerage, honestly, kind of cavalier. We've been lucky. We've had good markets. Things have been going well, but we were not mending the ship. There was no captain looking out. So I did a little bit of introspective and said, that's where my passion is. It goes back to what Mike Good set up of finding people where they're at and giving them tools and resources to become the best that they are. And I jumped in full time in pushing and building the company. I know very well that the way to help people is to surround yourself with really good people and let them help out. And we've gotten some great team support that really has helped out the entire brokerage and allowed our agents to succeed and grow. And we continue to grow. My affirmation is I enjoy leading the finest real estate brokerage of successful agents I call family. And I get that opportunity every day when I get up to continue doing that. So that brings us to today. And you.
And me. And I do have to say, I do feel like part of your family, and I do feel like I have that support. You know that Gina was the reason why I came to Sotheby's?
I did not.
Yeah, so I met Gina. We ended up our meeting, and I was coming. Like, there was no way for me to be anywhere else other than next to her. How did you end up in your current city?
I'm amazed that I have as much mileage on all my cars as I do because of how far I've traveled from home. I was born in Cincinnati, moved to Northern California when I was young. Northern California, my dad got relocated down here in sixth grade. I moved down to Palos Verdes in seventh grade, went to Palos Verdes High School, went to USC for college, and then went to Manhattan Beach afterwards. So I really haven't lived outside of Southern California since I was in seventh grade. Like the area, enjoy selling here, enjoy getting to know people, bring new people to the area. I just haven't gone too far away.
All right. Take me back to your favorite childhood memory.
Oh my gosh. My favorite childhood memory was when the family took a trip to San Moritz in Switzerland. And we were at a huge altitude. I mean, it was very high up, and it was a lake, and there was a town at San Moritz. And then there's this big mountain on the other side of the lake. And my brother and I go, okay, we're going to climb that mountain. Little did we know how high the altitude was already and how big this mountain was. But when you look at it, you think invincible. So we walked to the market. We bought some food for the day. We walked over to the mountain and we started climbing it. And we went just straight up. It was so slow going. It got to a point where we walked like 5 steps and stop and catch our breath. Walk 5 steps, stop and catch our breath. And we were encouraging each other, pushing each other along. And only when we got close to the top, we turned around, looked at how high we had accomplished and how small the town looked below. Also, we noticed that there was a path all the way to the top of the hill if we just looked to the right of the hill. So we didn't have to go straight up through the mountain. But the journey is the fun part of it. So my brother and I really enjoyed doing that. I look back, and it's funny you mentioned that. I have a lot of good childhood memories, a lot of good things, but that one just popped in my head. And maybe it's the journey, maybe it's the looking back and seeing how far you come. Maybe it was just having somebody along that push you along and help encourage you. There's always an easier path, but I don't know if we take the easier path if it would have made it as much fun and be as memorable.
It sounds like you like to make your own path. Take me back to a time in which you were showing a home, you were bringing a set of buyers, and there was a particular smell that killed the deal. What was the smell of the house?
I don't know if I had one with the smell, but I do have something that's similar, had the similar outcome. So I was showing a couple, and we approached these townhouses, and I knocked on the door, and this very nice lady opened the door, and I handed her my card. Clearly, she did not speak English, and we walked in, and I was showing the property to the clients. And it clearly wasn't set up for showings. The beds weren't made, the house wasn't that clean, but tenants there, that's okay. You kind of excuse it. We walked around, we looked at it, and as we're walking out, and I thanked the lady, and I still don't think she understood what I was saying. We walked next door, and I realized that the for sale sign was on the window next to it, not on that unit. So I turned to my clients and I didn't know, do I throw myself on the sword? Do I say anything? They looked at me like, nah, that house isn't for us. Let's look at other ones. I'm like, okay. So I don't know if there was a smell there. I don't know what happened, but it was not my finest moment.
Hey, your buyers never knew, poor lady. She was wondering who are these people and why are they in here?
Yeah, their spouse got home that night and she's like, this random guy came through, pushed his way, just wanted to look at the house, and you're probably looking at the card going, okay, whatever. So no grievances were filed with the DRE or anything against me. So far so good.
Okay, now take me back. I was going to do the opposite. When you walked into a house, or what's the favorite smell that you would like in one house?
I think the smell that most people gravitate towards is vanilla. But to me, I think there's nothing like having a fire in the fireplace when it's cold and you walk into a house and has that feeling. I also think it's good to have the smell of bread. As far as positive smells, in real estate, we are conditioned for the visual senses, obviously what it looks like. And we're very conditioned for the sounds. If there's kids playing or birds chirping or cars driving down the street that's noisy, those things affect us positive or negative. But I think too often people forget about the smell element in a house. So often when you have a new house or something, you'll put new carpet in there. The new carpet smell is kind of bad, but it's a new carpet smell, which tells you it's good. It's brand new and it's clean. It's not the act of having clean carpet. It's the fact of having that off gassing in it. It kind of gives you that new car smell, that new house smell, kind of brings people back. And I think smell is one of the strongest factors that we don't put a lot of attention to because it has such an influence, positive or negative. And you don't know your own smells. Clearly don't know mine. So it's important to have other people walk through the house and kind of smell, hey, what smells do I smell, good or bad, that are in here?
What was the transaction that was the most memorable transaction in your career?
Most memorable transaction would be on Winlock. It was the Thompson family. Property is listed at 275. They called me and said, we were referred to you as somebody who's trustworthy. We want you to come talk to us about selling their house. Got my little bag and my listing presentation and showed up at the house. And I have a very systematic listing presentation. I believe there's a process and you should be working on your listing presentation every single day. Every single day I would spend some time on it to make sure I perfected it. Just like a athlete practices each day, I support working on your listing presentation every single day. But I had my package, I had it set. I sat down with them. And as I start all my listing presentations, I asked them, what is your biggest concern? And I expected them to say, well, it's price and we want to sell or going on. They said, our biggest concern is we need to sell our house as fast as possible. We need to get the money out of the house and we can't be here for this entire process. I'm like, okay, explain to me a little bit more about this. This is an unusual situation, but tell me more. 6 weeks earlier, they had adopted a baby girl. The baby girl had been diagnosed with a very serious disease. She was in the hospital. They needed the money out of the house to help pay for the medical bills, and they were going to be spending all their time at the hospital taking care of this little girl that they adopted. In fact, the disease was so bad that the adoption agency actually told them that they could bring her back. They did not sign up for something like this financially and emotionally, and it was not something to be on their burden. And they said, nope, we'll take care of it. She's family now. But after hearing that, I kind of said, no more, I got it. And sure enough, they went to the hospital and I did not see them once during the entire listing process, getting the house ready, doing the showings, getting the offers in. I advised everything, brought them everything to the hospital, what they needed, and just took care of it. And I know I did a good job for them. I know because in my heart and my soul, that was calling. That's what I needed to do. The girl got well and was part of the family. I put them in another house in the same school district, but in a much lesser area. They were able to bring her back home, and it was fine. They adopted her because they weren't able to have children of their own, they thought. So a couple years later, she did get pregnant with a little boy. They had a little boy, and they sent me an announcement. I thought it was nice. And unfortunately, after 6 months, the little boy passed away. And they called me and asked me to speak at his funeral. And I'm like, you're calling a realtor? That doesn't make any sense. And they're like, you helped us at a critical point in our lives, helped make decisions and guided us. We needed somebody there who could make good, solid decisions that were in our best interest. We need that advice again as we prepare a service. So I helped them do the service, which I still to this day remember was kind of emotional and challenging when you're looking at the teeny little casket at the front. That sale